welcome back. We're here with Tom from Toledo Free Press in Toledo, Ohio. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for coming
having
on.
you, actually. We're having you.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me here on this cold day, and I excited to learn more about what you guys are going on. So thank you.
Appreciate it. No worries.
And so you started the Free Press back in 2005.
2005, yes.
Why did you decide to restart this?
Well, a friend of mine and now one of our board members named Sean Nestor came to me and asked me, where is it? Where's all the stuff? We went through a lot of things. One of them was bankruptcy, and other things when we shut down. But one thing we maintained was the name and the URL. And I had both, and still have both. And so he wanted to find a way to get the archives back up. And so there's a documented history of the Free Press. And so we set out to do that, and have done that. Matter of fact, we're still working on that. We've got the last 4 years of the Free Press. You have everything. You can search it by name. The first 6 years are in what we call issue format. So they're just PDFs of the entire paper. So technically, you can look at everything we've ever done. And so as time goes by, we're going to keep working on updating each year, but it's all in there, but it's all got to be categorized. Everything dropped in on one single date, let's say August 25th. So it's all August 25th in general, and now we have to say, well, this is in business, and this one's in opinion, and separate them out. So that's what we have to do right now. So that's gonna be a painstaking over. But in the meantime, we were doing it. People were coming to me, and they always did, but they got tips on stories and what have you. And one of them was Tom Noe was let out of jail. Tom Noe was famous for being put in jail. There's a big deal that the Blade hated this guy for years and years and years. And he was a Republican chair and all that. But anyway, he was in jail. In COVID, they let him out. And I'm thinking, they're not going to do anything on him. They're not going to. He won't even try to talk. He won't even talk to them. But I thought we could do something. I said, we don't have the insurance to do that. And you'll find out that in this business, there's a lot of people swinging without a net. And I said, I'm not going back on that. We got sued and out of oblivion the last time. I said, well, so we didn't do it. But it got us thinking, if you had the insurance and you have a platform, how could that work? And so we made it into we did some homework, found out what other nonprofits are doing. We formed a small board, and figured that was the way to do it. And, when I got in the business back years and years ago, the newspapers were this thick, and you couldn't get a job or a house or a car without a newspaper. It was dominant. And but as that funded a lot of journalism. Where's it going? And so the funding mechanism's broken. There's no new AI or some new category is going to come in and say, hey, let's use paid newspapers to get our word out. That's not going to happen. How old are you?
25.
25, all right. So people that are 45 have never had to pay for information in their lives. What is the mother of two 35-year-old walking into Kroger, what's in her heart to say, all right, I need to pick up that newspaper for $4, whatever they're charging. There's nothing. I mean, I get the coupons here if I want. There's nothing that, so it's not as relevant as it used to be.
Yeah.
So that's how we started thinking about it, and how do we fund the journalism? And the nonprofit way seems to be a big thing going on now across the United States. It's happening a lot more than people know.
Yeah.
And Toledo is, a lot of places are turning into news deserts because their papers are folding up and going away, and what's to replace it? There's not in Middle America. There's not TV stations at every city. It's different. So, bottom line is that this is a funding mechanism to get journalism back in Toledo. So that's why.
And why is it so important for you guys to cover real stories?
Well, to segue from what I was saying is that because someone has to. when I was I was at the San Jose Mercury News for a number of years, and we lost in this 1995. .com was booming. People your age were driving Ferraris and all over the Bay Area. They were everywhere. Matter of fact, their recruitment advertising was their biggest thing because it cost so much to live there, and they couldn't recruit from anywhere else. They just steal each other's people. The sections were this thick back in those days, and we lost an editor. He went to Microsoft, and he was going to be their editor. And he came back to us, and 6 months later, and I said, "Well, what happened?" He goes, "Well, the internet does not have a courthouse." Think about that, right? And that's really what it is. Is that journalism starts at the courthouse, or starts at the steps of government, and works its way out, and it's becoming very apparent that there's not as many people doing that anymore, and covering the news the way it should be done, investigatively, done well, with journalistic integrity, which is not happening a lot. There's a lot of channels out there like you and others, but there's not a lot of journalism as it pertains to, sources close to say, well, no, what's his name, and quote and get quotes and spell his name correctly, and do things the right way, and don't just jump to do it just to get the story out. So that's the biggest reason, I think, from my point of view, is to become relevant and to make sure that we're getting the stories out that are not getting out now.
Yeah. And when you guys are reporting on a story, how do you make sure that there isn't any bias?
Well, that's the key. One of the big things we did that's different than the last time. The last time, you look at our sections now and read on the masthead, and one of them is opinion. It's others' opinions and not ours. We back in the day, we used to endorse candidates. We used to be biased in some ways, not in journalism necessarily, but the paper was. We're not going to have an opinion now in this new free press. It's going to be other people's opinions. They can write all they want, and they can battle back and forth. But we're more of a referee than anything else. And we made that commitment. Our boards made that commitment, and our journalists have made that commitment. This is not about how I feel. No one cares how you feel. It's the who, what, where, when, and how. And so we're going to make sure that it's done that way. And that's the way it used to be. There was no Walter Cronkite. You never knew who, if you know who Walter is. Walter was the premier anchorman on CBS News. And Walter, you would never know what he felt about anything. You saw him wipe away a tear when he was talking about the death of John F. Kennedy's assassination, and he did make some points about the Vietnam War being endless and useless down later in his career, but you could never tell which way he was voting, never. And so that's journalism, and no one knows how we feel. We just tell you what the story is. So that's how it's supposed to be done.
And you mentioned the rise of the internet, plus combined with social media, has kind of led to a lot of people just being able to report on anything at any chance. Mm-hmm. Do you think there is a positive side of social media when it comes to journalism?
I think yes. I mean, it's getting, I call it citizen journalism, where people are at scenes and taking pictures with their phones and video and stuff. That's very helpful. I mean, you can look on a lot of TV's websites. It's a picture of some neighbor took the picture of the crash or whatever. So I think a lot of that is there. I think and it's podcasts and things like that. People are looser and seem to talk. They can make news on those on podcasts. So there is obviously a need for it, and people. I mean, you wouldn't be doing it if people weren't looking at it, right? So it's a growing thing. I think the journalism piece is what's missing. That they say, well, who's trusted to look into this situation? And there's plenty of situations to look into. We have a brand new reporter now who's going to be doing just that. that's his goal. His job is to go look into government and what's happening there. And you've got we just voted for a third term or the ability to have a third term for the mayor. What's behind that? What's going on that prompted that? And is he just waiting to become Marcy's replacement? What's he doing? And so we've people that are going to be looking into that. Podcast again, like I was saying earlier, is more of citizen journalism is skipping the stone on the pond. We like to jump in feet first and try and see what's really happening. But there's room for everything, obviously, and what you want to do is make sure you get it right. So that's what our job is to make sure we get stories right.
And where does this passion come from to find the truth? Like, why are you so passionate about wanting to have the truth out there in an authentic way?
It's if I've been in the business, and I'm not the journalist.
Yeah.
Right. I came from a different business. When I got into the newspaper business, I was in cable television back in the day, and we used to think if you have a problem with your cable, just turn that dish a quarter of an inch, and we've solved the problem. Here, it's the action, the actual art, the art of it. I coming from a different business, I got to learn and meet some great journalists over my career, editors, and how they did things, and it's a fever of sorts. It's something you get hooked on, and for me, it's in this town since I did this 10 years ago, and we were quite successful from the journalistic point of view. We make the joke that we're now a nonprofit, but we were a nonprofit long before this. But if advertising is what we did well, we'd still be in business on the advertising front. But but journalism is what we did well. We were the best weekly in the state of Ohio, the Society of Professional Journalists, which is our measuring stick. That group made us number one 6 of the 10 years we were in business. We were second place the other 4. So this is going against Cincinnati's and Columbus and Cleveland's of the world. Their weeklies and their publications. So we were going against the big people and doing well. So I think we just want to keep doing that. Yeah. So my job is going to be different now. It's not, again, I hired editors and we hire writers. My job is not to tell them what to do, is to make sure that I can fund them and make sure they're doing what they can do, right? And say, well, we ain't got that yet, so hold on, we're working on it. And, we're getting stuff donated, and I'm the guy. I got this table and chairs. If the company gave them to me, so it's that's my job right now.
But you make it all run.
Make it all run. That's it. Make sure the keys work. Thanks for helping me with that.
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff. I'm in charge of making it work.
Yeah. And to go more on the personal side, Christy Adams, back in 2013, she said on Facebook, "You were my Ohio hero. The world is a better place because you are in it. When you meet someone, what impact would you like to have on them?"
Oh, Lord. Christy, she was the president of Owens Community College, and she's good. I think, from my point of view, is someone's trying to do good things. That's it. My whole attitude here is, and our attitude is in general, is that we're a glass half full. I've lived all over the country. I've lived lots of places, and I've lived here for 25 years now, and I'm not going anywhere. And because the grass is really, really green right here, not right now, but it's really, really green here. And so we like to look at things with a glass half full. If you're I want you to live in a good neighborhood. I want you and your spouse to have good jobs. Your kids go to good schools. We're rooting for the city of Toledo.
Yeah.
If your dog poops on my lawn, I'm going to let you know about it. But at the same time, I'm on your side. And so that's the legacy of the Free Press before. So its legacy is mine, basically. I mean, I don't see of anything more important in my life that I've done than this. I'm not a millionaire. I was making good money when I was running the Blade and in the newspaper business. I'm not in to get rich, that's for sure. People know that. But I'm here to, put a stamp on this community as far as its journalistic, endeavors and stories, and tell the story of Toledo.
I have one more question for you.
Oh, good deal.
If you could have dinner with two people, one person from the past and one person from the present, who would it be and why?
Man, in the past, I'd like to meet. I bumped into him, but I never talked to him. Would be Muhammad Ali was one of the people, and for lots of reasons, and not that I'm rooting for or against a lot of his policies, but he was someone that had the guts to do things that he wanted his way and did it. Currently, geez, there's so many. I have to look at that. I have to think about that. I want to stay away from politics necessarily. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm thinking I'd love to sit and talk with Trump for a little bit, but I don't know how deep that would go. I want a little bit more of a. Let me think about that. I'm sorry, but I don't know.
No, you're good.
Just drop it off. That's usually the ones back are easy.
Yeah.
Because they can't turn you down. Because they're dead now. But yeah, that's. I have to think that one through.
First one that comes to your mind besides Trump, is there anyone you're like, I really want to sit down with this person?
Well, it's probably close to him, but it'd be Mr. Tesla. He's someone who's got I just like the way he thinks. He's gotten he put rockets in space and the internet to places that don't have it, and just open up freedom of speech from my point of view was a big thing. He was the reason you can hear all sides now, which before was stifled. All sides were. I mean, that's not freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is allowing the stuff you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Let the Nazis speak down the street here. Do it right. Make sure you're not. We had riots here because the Nazis came to town, and we didn't protect them, didn't protect us, and so But someone like Elon Musk would be someone I think would be kind of cool to talk to, especially in my business.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Tom, that's all the questions I have. How can people find you guys, and what is one thing you want to leave people with?
Well, ToledoFreePress.com is how you find us, and this way of doing things is the old way of doing newspapers was 80% advertising revenue, 20% circulation revenue. We want to be more like 70-30 donations versus advertising. So any way you can think to support us, please do. We can only do this with the locals' help and the people that want to see good journalism continue in this town. And someday you never know. It might be the newspaper in town, the news outlet. I don't even guess we call it paper anymore, but I still do. But it's a news outlet. That's what it is. But help us write for us, join us, and help us make this a better town.
Yeah. Well, Tom,
City.
thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate
Pleasure
it.
of mine.